Eagles started making some roster cuts over the weekend. I believe we're down to 70 players left on the roster. We're going to start talking about who was cut, why, and where we stand with the Philadelphia Eagles at this point as we get closer and closer to the final 53. Jalen Hurts, Trey Lance, kind of in the news with the Cowboys this weekend. We'll talk about that as well. And guys, I hate to do it to some of you footballers, but we might have to talk a little bit of Phillies today as well. Trending in the AM, right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. We're live. 30 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. We're live. Facebook, YouTube, X. You know the drill. Like, share, retweet, follow, or repost, whatever it's called. Do whatever it is you can do. Get in. It is free to like and share this video. Following and hitting subscribe is a free thing to do. You don't like the other programs out there? Well, make sure you follow this one because this is the only show in Philadelphia talking sports where your opinions actually matter. So tell one, tell all. You know, I got this comment in late last night before the show went live. Judlin, if you're not first, you're last. So great job getting in late last night before the mad chatter. There's no bonus coverage. You got to pay for the bonus coverage, my man. Core 12, fall in line. It's like the Ron Burgundy when he blows the horn. One of the greatest scenes in comedy history right there. Guys, can you hear me loud and clear? I got a new mic. I got a new arm, so the mic's out of my way here. A new soundboard. If you can hear me well, give me a good thumbs up. I'd greatly appreciate it. It's nice to have a little bit more space. The arms got the mic out of the way. I can't see the screen, so I'm leaning back a little bit here. I think of the Core 12 as like the Wolf Pack. That's right. That's right. We are the Wolf Pack. Lots happened this weekend in sports, guys. Got lots to dive into. Lots I want to talk about today. I do want to talk a little bit of Phillies at some point. I know you guys. That's right. Thank you for noticing, K1. I appreciate it. Haircut, beard trimmed up a little bit, getting ready for Mexico. Only 2 weeks away from Mexico. 2 weeks from football season starting. 2 weeks from Mexico for me. A much needed a little siesta in Mexico. So yeah, I got to get the hair nice and tight for that. Lots happening. Football, baseball, basketball, everything. I do want to talk a little baseball today at some point, Aaron Nola. Very dominant Sunday. Very dominant weekend for the Phillies against the Cardinals. So that's good. That's a positive. But football, that's where we start every day because that's what you guys want. Good morning, Tyrone. How you doing today? Brazilian buffet. I don't know what that is, but okay. Good morning, Nick. How you doing today? Glad to have you on the show. Good morning, Tony. Everybody chiming in. What is up? Okay. Yeah, no, they tried to sponsor me. They sucked. But anyway, let's talk Philadelphia Eagles for a little bit, guys. Let's get started there. Lots of cuts happened over the weekend. Most of them not surprising. I think we are down to officially 70 players on the Eagles roster. Tight end, a couple cuts there, and Dan Arnold, not surprising. Tyree Jackson might surprise some. Offensive line, there were some cuts that were surprising to me if you would have asked me before the season started with Dennis Kelly and Josh Andrews both getting cut. Who else got cut from the offensive line? A couple others got cut from the offensive line as well. Cameron Tom, Brett Toth, they all got cut as well. Deion Kane, Freddie Swain, who was just brought in, Johnny King, Jaden Hasselwood, those wide receivers were cut. Lots of players cut there. I would say first on the offensive line, it pretty much locks up the core of the offensive line. Obviously, the five starters. Fred Johnson, who kind of came out of nowhere. Jack Driscoll's making the team. Tyler Steen, Suapeda. Those guys are making the team, it seems like. So that pretty much locked up the offense. That's right. I am a big winner. Called Victor Hovland with the strokes last week at the Tour Championship on the PGA Tour. Check off outright win 6 of the year. Good way to end the season. Book it in, winning, calling the first tournament of the year and the last tournament of the year, Adam. I nailed both. So that was a good, nice win this weekend. The offensive line has worked itself out. When you have the best starting five in the league, and this is, you settle out the rest of it when you've got the great coach that you do in Jeff Stoutland. We've got to have confidence in Steen, Driscoll, Johnson, Opeda, and whoever else. But the first thing that surprised people was tight end and wide receiver. Your followers are going to hate today because we're going to talk full Phillies for a full hour plus. Well, I don't know if we're going to talk Phillies for a full hour plus. We're going to start with a little football here, but we do have to spend time, Mark, talking about Aaron Nolan, talking about this Phillies team. I saw something, Mark, the other day. It's kind of crazy. Or I saw it yesterday after the win yesterday. The Philadelphia Phillies are 94% likely to make the playoffs. I think there's like 35, 36 games left in the season. 94.2% likely to make the playoffs. Yet they're 13 games back in the division. This says how good the Braves were or are or whatnot. It's crazy. Really crazy to see that. Um, Hope Tyree Jackson owns Howie for this. Tyree Jackson is not going to own Howie. Tyree Jackson is probably going to slide back to the practice squad again. Yes, Dan Arnold and Tyree Jackson. A lot of Eagles fans still wanted Tyree Jackson to make this Eagles team. It's no different than me wanting Trey Sermon, he wasn't at practice yesterday, so probably he's not making the team. Look, Tyree Jackson's a guy that has all the athleticism and all the talent in the world, but yet just can't put it all together outside of on training camp day in training camp. So I'm not worried about Tyree Jackson. I don't think any Philadelphia Eagles should. I did think there was a chance that Grant Calcaterra could be on the outside looking in, but nobody stepped up and overtook him. So it is what it is. Beard, damn, auto check. Yeah, I got you. I got you. I knew what you're talking about. Buenos dias. I believe that means hola. Something like that. Hello, good morning. Who is Mr. Bears? Phil, something you want to tell us? Yeah, no, it was a Mr. Beard. All right. He's talking about baseball, yes, because baseball is okay. Calcaterra was never in jeopardy. For some reason, K1, I thought that their love of Tyree Jackson could eventually bump Calcaterra. I don't think Tyree Jackson was just a camp darling to the fans. I think he's a camp darling for the coaches and the general manager of this football team as well. So I thought there was a chance there. It didn't play out that way. That's fine. Not worried. One bit. We're talking about tight end three there. I think that they should have upgraded that position. They did not. So we're going to roll with what it is. Look, we always talk about the law of averages, and Dallas Goedert's always getting hurt. You got to think at some point Dallas Goedert's going to have at least a mostly healthy season. Some other people might get hurt, but Dallas Goedert, if he stays healthy, who the third tight end doesn't even matter. It's funny. Jackson's blocking is the issue. It might be. And you need that third tight end to be able to block, be able to play special teams, and stuff like that. What's up, y'all? How you doing this morning? Glad to have you checking on in here this morning. There was no surprise, basically, this weekend. Obviously, like Ian Book getting cut, no surprise whatsoever. Agreed with K1. Calcaterra is a draft pick that should have went higher, but didn't due to injury. And he's got the connection with Jalen Hurts. I believe they played together. They overlapped briefly. There's a lot that means that Calcaterra was going to make this team. I also didn't roll out going to two tight ends, trying to stash one on on the practice squad because you got a lot of roster spots to fill out here. You want a fourth or running back. You still got fifth wide receiver to figure out. How many linemen to take, safeties, cornerbacks, all that stuff. So we'll see how he has run two tight ends before, but Calcaterra's making this team, it seems. Buenos dias as good day. Hola, same difference. Same thing. Will someone please tell Phil what a Brazilian steak? I know what a Brazilian steakhouse is. Fogo Sean or whatever it's called. I know. Free plug on my show for you there because of what he said. Remember, don't forget, guys, likes are free. 7 likes so far. There's 16 people watching. Make sure you hit that like button. I greatly appreciate that. Wide receiver. A couple of the cuts start to roll in at wide receiver. Now you need 3 with one that can play special teams with Bradley and McPherson. Yeah, I mean, look, Bradley McPherson going down. I've said this before, Mark. Going down hurts special teams. Yes, I get that. But let's not forget that our special teams, coverage teams, were some of the worst in the league last year. So while losing McPherson and Bradley are tough, how great were they on special teams when we were so bad to begin with? So yeah, we need to fill those voids, those spots on the special teams, roster. But I'm not really worried about a downgrade, so to say, just because it wasn't like it was that good to begin with last year. It just wasn't. Something wrong there. Why? Who moved my Fanatic? My Fanatic normally sits right there. Someone moved him off the shelf. So there's that. Then wide receiver, a couple things start to take shape there. Obviously, everybody loves Deion Kane. He was waived. He will probably resort back to practice squad. Hasselwood, Jimmy King, or whatever his name was, waived as well. Or Johnny King, Freddie Swain, who was just brought in. We said it last week. He was brought in just to be a preseason camp body. Jaden Hasselwood cut already. You have not seen. You have not seen anything done with Nagata yet. You haven't seen anything done with Devin Allen yet. You haven't seen anything done with Britton Covey or Greg Ward. 4 guys fighting for one wide receiver spot. I know everybody's going to say they want Greg Ward, and I love Greg Ward. Britton Covey finally made it back to practice this weekend because he's fighting for that spot. I think it's funny that Britton Covey basically just took 3 weeks of camp off and said, "Up, regular practice is back. All right, I'm good. I'm here." Kind of funny. Guy of him not wanting to practice and stuff. I think they're really still going to go down to the wire on who that final wide receiver. That might be one of the final spots, final roster spots decided. They practice on Sunday. I believe they're practicing today. Now we're into regular season practice, so we don't get the full coverage from the beat reporters as we usually do. But that notwithstanding, we are going to wait till the last second to see, I think, who that final wide receiver is. I think it's a really tough decision for Howie to make. Britton Covey, the guy last year. Greg Ward, Mr. Reliable, always on the practice squad, always gets called up when needed. Devin Allen, flashing that speed this camp, has made plays every single day and week at camp and in the preseason games. I think the wide receiver is such an interesting, tough decision for Howie Roseman. Punt coverage was bad because the punter was bad, no? Absolutely. Kick coverage wasn't that great either. I still don't know why Aaron Sipos is the guy. You constantly see punters getting cut. There's plenty of cutters or punters out there on the market that you could bring in. The fact that Howie's rolling with this guy Aaron Sipos is crazy. I'm not sure what Howie's doing. I know. Look, we're talking about punter here, but it can affect the team. It can change the course of a game. It's not going to win you a game or lose you a game, but it can come close. It could definitely be a major factor. The fact that he's not openly bringing other people in to try out. I mean, Legatron, was he that bad? I mean, came in with a lot of hype, and he was picked up by Houston right away. Really interesting what they're doing there with the punter. Greg Ward will always move the chain. Greg Ward is Mr. Reliable, Mr. Dependable. Greg Ward is somebody that will never drop a ball. He'll never commit a penalty. He'll never fumble the football. He's Mr. Reliable. He's not fast. He's not overpowering in any way. He doesn't put fear into anybody in any way. But I almost to an extent want Greg Ward to get an official, roster spot just to kind of reward the work. Like we talked about Tyree Jackson, a quarterback turned into a tight end. Greg Ward's the one. He came in as a quarterback as well. Transitioned to wide receiver and has put the work in. I kind of feel like Greg Ward, it's almost like, thank you for your loyalty. Here you go. Here's a roster spot finally for all the hard work and loyalty you've put in with the Eagles. But on the flip side, someone like him, why hasn't somebody else picked him up yet? It's the same thing with Boston Scott. Like Boston Scott has his 2 good games a year against the Giants, but I don't understand why they're so good, but yet nobody else picks them up. Like they're not really that good then. Excuse me. Allergies, man. My throat too. I'm hurting today, but I'm here for you guys. The punt god is still out there. Which one's the punt god? Anyway, I mean there's a lot of punters out there. There are. I've heard the argument that Sipos is also the holder, and Jake likes having him. Don't know if that's actually true. K1, I have heard that as well, and there is something to it. You've got the greatest, or one of the best, if not the best, kicker in football, and there's that exchange with the long snapper, the punter, and the kicker. You don't want Jake Elliott lining up back there for a 55-yarder and worrying whether the guy holding that punt or that kick was going to do it the right way or the way you like it. So there's that. But on the flip side, that's not the only reason why to keep the guy. Guy still got to do his job and punt. You could spend a couple extra hours, each week with Jake Elliott and whoever the new person is, trying to get that confidence there. I wouldn't keep a punter for that reason, but I have heard that it makes sense. You're making Greg Ward sound like Jason Avant. Greg Ward is like Jason Avant to an extent, and Jason Avant hung around for a very long time. So why can't Greg Ward? Greg Ward and Boston Scott, like it's weird to me. Like these guys are free agents every year, and they just keep coming back on these cheap deals because nobody wants them, and the Eagles can't, don't do much with them. Greg Ward goes to the practice squad every year. Nobody picks him up, but yet when he's called upon in a game, he makes a play, moves the change, catches the ball, doesn't make mistakes. I just don't understand. It's like it's weird to me. It's a hard thing for me to anticipate or figure out. You want Ward to get a participation trophy? No, because I just explained it, Peanut, and I hate participation trophies. I don't like them. That's why I didn't get a belt for being in second place. Because you don't get rewarded for not winning. It's first or last. Judlin was first today. He does a lot good. He doesn't do anything great. And it's just weird to me. But anyway, the wide receiver position is coming down. And I want Covey to be the odd man out to an extent because he doesn't really impress me too much last year. He got better as the year went on. I know I've seen the stats. After week 7 or 8, he was in the top 10 in yards per punt return, stuff like that. But I don't know. Devin Allen, his little speed, that kick return the other night in the last preseason game showed it again. Devin Allen is a guy I want. I'm considering, I saw one of the beat reporters say this, maybe the Eagles decide to keep 6 wide receivers. And that way you get Covey and Allen or Covey and Ward or something like that. Howie hasn't done that in a long time, keep more than 5 wide receivers, but he has in the past. So maybe that's what happens there. Punting wins the championships. Punting does not win championships, my man. It does not. Got like 20 people watching. Make sure, again, I'm going to keep saying it over and over again throughout the show. Likes are free, guys. Hit that like button, that share button, hit that subscribe button. I greatly appreciate it. Remember the time when Greg Ward was making Carson look like a 2019? I mean, Carson Wentz made some practice squatters look good. Which let's bring up an interesting quarterback. See, Marshawn, somebody always brings something up that makes me remember something I do. I don't keep my notebook around me during the weekends, but I think and I tweet and I say a lot of stupid stuff all weekend long. And it was interesting. So everybody hates our current backup quarterback, Marcus Mariota, right now. And I'm not suggesting this, Marshawn, in a Philadelphia Eagles should do this. But if you were the GM of a football team in the National Football League, and you either had an injury-prone quarterback or a young rookie that you didn't know how it was going to work out, okay, I'm going to give you 2 options to be your backup quarterback right now: Carson Wentz or Marcus Mariota. Who would you rather? Not on the Eagles, but in general. You can count the Eagles into this equation. Just in general, who would you rather have as your backup quarterback? Marcus Mariota or Carson Wentz? And the rumors, were swirling that the Chiefs have some interest in Carson Wentz. And actually, that would be a great place for him to go, play behind Patrick Mahomes. No pressure on him in Kansas City. Um, but it made me think. We're all ready to anoint Tanner McKee as the next great thing, the next great backup quarterback here in Philadelphia. We love backup quarterbacks here in Philadelphia. But I'm telling you, Marcus Mariota or Carson Wentz right now, and maybe there's a little Eagles bias in this. I'm taking Marcus Mariota as my backup quarterback. I am. I don't know. Allen could be great gunner on special teams. He has done it well in the preseason games and in practices where they've shown videos. So he's very good because of his speed playing that gunner role. I think there's a real chance that Devin Allen makes this roster. Ward Wentz got us to the playoffs in 19. I was at the comeback game against the Giants on Monday Night Football. It was raining. It was a December night. I think it was Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football that week, but I was there. We should all be indebted to Ward for that. Or Carson. Carson did a lot there. 15 people, 6 exactly. Exactly. On my screen, it says there's 13 likes. I don't know how many there is actually, but That's what my screen says right now. Matt Ariza, yeah, he is out there. He would help punting. There's a lot of guys out there for punters right now. K1, I'd want an injury-prone diva. Ah, Marcus Mariota, at least he won a couple playoff games. Look, it's just funny because you're all ready to kick Marcus Mariota out to the curb. But backup quarterbacks in the NFL, how many really good backup quarterbacks are? How many backup quarterbacks have the career, the games under their belt, the big game moments, everything? I'm not saying successfully, but has what Marcus Mariota has. So while we're all ready to anoint the rookie Tanner McKee, the starting quarterback or the backup quarterback, Marcus Mariota is the right guy. You got a guy in Carson Wentz that was a former max money kind of quarterback available. Marcus Mariota is a better backup quarterback. Now, it wouldn't bother someone like Jalen Hurts, like it did bother Carson Wentz having somebody behind him. Hell, Jalen Hurts wouldn't care if Nick Foles was the backup quarterback. He wouldn't. He's one of those guys that he's just so laser focused. He don't care. There's already a quarterback controversy in the NFC East. I want to talk about that. The Trey Lance Dallas Cowboys situation because Jalen Hurts is involved. I got to catch up on some comments here, and then I am going to bring that into the conversation as well. Carson Wentz rumored to be playing for the Chiefs. If Andy can't fix Wentz, no one can. Yeah, there's gonna be like no pressure on him. It's a great place for him to go, collect a paycheck. Maybe he plays, maybe he doesn't. I don't even know if they'd want him to be their backup. Maybe their third string. Mariota over Wentz because of all the talk of Wentz not bonding with teammates. Well, I mean that's a concern to me with Marcus Mariota as well, Jorge or George, however you like to be called. Um, Mariota is just not the same guy. That's why I kind of wanted Gardner Minshew over Mariota just because of the locker room and the attitude and the personality. But Marcus Mariota, quarterback wise, might be one of, if not the best quarterback two in the NFL right now. I'm actually going to go through all the teams and look at them later today. Who else is a better quarterback two right now? The Eagles squad has chemistry. It absolutely does, without a shadow of doubt. And it's something that you don't want to mess with. You do not. And some of these final cuts might play a factor in it. The chemistry. That's Aaron Sipos. He's the punter because there's chemistry between him and Elliott and Lovato on special teams. Some of these cuts, we're trying to win a Super Bowl here. You see all the drama between who's fighting for roster spots across the NFL, like bigger name people. Drama happening with the Dallas Cowboys, with their quarterback situation. You don't have any of this. Like we're talking about, should Tyree Jackson or Grant Calcaterra have been the third tight end? Should Aaron Sipos, the punter, be moved? We're blessed and lucky to be in the situation we are right now with this Philadelphia Eagles team. Mariota over Wentz. Wentz is washed mentally, without a shadow of a doubt. I think he's washed mentally because of what happened on the field, but also because of the injuries as well. He's got those happy feet and his clock in his head is sped up. Wentz would be like trading for Trey Lance. I don't know. Who would you rather right now on your team as your backup quarterback? Carson Wentz or Trey Lance? I'm not a Trey Lance guy. I would probably take Wentz over Trey Lance at this point. Torpedoed this locker room. He torpedoed this organization. Yeah, he is blackballed, but I don't know. I don't want to make a comment. I know he was found innocent. All charges were dropped, whatnot. So, I mean, he's a great punter. I wouldn't mind at least discussing the idea. What's with the Ward talk? He get cut. He did not get cut. We're talking about that. The final wide receiver spot is coming down to a heated battle because of the fact that none of these names were released yet. Devin Allen, Deion Keene was released. Devin Allen, Joseph Nagata, Greg Ward, Britton Covey are all still there. Britton Covey, who hasn't practiced in weeks, showed up to practice finally on Sunday. Well, was healthy enough to practice. I don't want to sound like he wasn't there. The thing is, like, it is an intense final battle. And I think that wide receiver final battle is going to come down to the last second tomorrow when rosters have to be set. Nick Foles is the greatest backup quarterback of all time. Yeah, in Philadelphia, for sure. But he's not the greatest backup quarterback right now because he's not on the team. Bottom line, if you have to use your backup quarterback for an extended period, yeah, we know this, Mark. If something happens there, you're in trouble no matter what. For sure, without a shot. Cowboys will implode by week 5. Like I said, I wanted Mike McCarthy to stay the Cowboys head coach for as long as possible. Because as long as he's there, they're not going to win anything. But this is the thing. You got two stories kind of interlinked here in Dallas this weekend. Story one, they trade a 4th round pick to the San Francisco 49ers for Trey Lance, who asked out of San Francisco because he didn't want to be a quarterback 3 or 4 or whatever he was going to be there in San Fran. Just think about this. The 49ers traded 3 first-round picks to move up to Trey Lance. They gave him 4 starts in the NFL and have already decided, nah, we're good moving him for a 4th-round pick. So first part of the story is the screw up. For as great as everybody thinks the 49ers organization is, they're as big of a screw up, if not bigger, than people realize. That is a disaster that they will not get crushed for. Okay? Trading all that to get him, not giving him a chance, then giving up on him for a 4th-round pick. And rumors were that was that was a last-second swoop in by the Cowboys to get him for a 4th-rounder. You don't want to pay. You argue to pay your stud lineman in Zach Martin. You're terrible all across the board on who you pay and who you don't pay. But yet you're going to go out and invest in Trey Lance to be a backup quarterback. Now you got the controversy between Trey Lance, and is it because Dak Prescott won't be there in a year or so? I hope Dak Prescott leaves the Cowboys because Dak Prescott I'll actually cheer for on another team when they're not playing the Eagles. And then you've got Jerry Jones coming out and saying, well, we kind of wanted Jalen Hurts. We just missed out on him. Well, you took Trayvon Diggs just before Jalen Hurts, so you could have had him there. I guess they were looking at Jalen Hurts in the third round. Just tells you again, Jalen Hurts would have balled out just like he did in Philly and Dallas, and he would have taken over for Dak Prescott sooner rather than later because of that work ethic. Now, the organization might have not set him up for success like the Eagles did. But, man, there's a lot to unpack from the Dallas Cowboys, San Francisco 49ers, and Jalen Hurts over this weekend. Like, I think the Dallas Cowboys, on paper, are the second-best team in the NFC. Obviously, that's behind the Eagles, so they won't win their division. They'll finish wild card. But on paper, I fear the Cowboys. I don't know about you guys. But with all this controversy surrounding, this is just what makes me so happy to have a leader like Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman. One singular vision in the locker room, one singular vision in the organization. Everybody on the same page, no drama. It's such a breath of fresh air, especially with everything we deal with James Harden, with the Sixers. Such a breath of fresh air. Steve Young was that's a great point, K1. Smart pull right there. Or maybe Aaron Rodgers. Good point. Well, Aaron Rodgers, we didn't know what he was when he was the backup to Brett Favre. I think if Mariota was our quarterback 2 last season instead of Minshew, we win those 2 games. We could have. Very possible. I think we're in a great spot. You got a good backup quarterback too. If he misses 1 or 2 games, Jalen Hurts. And if he doesn't, he's there. And then next year, Tanner McGee will be 1 year more experienced. He could be a cheap option at backup quarterback so that then you have, more money to spend to extend some of these contracts. I think it's a great situation to be in with the Eagles. Why does everyone think McCarthy's a bad coach? He won a Super Bowl. Won 1 Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback. Don't you think he should have won more than one? His personality, his decision making. I don't know why. I think he won that Super Bowl. It's kind of like with the Phillies, and I'm going to start tweaking a little Phillies into the conversation here. The Packers win that Super Bowl despite McCarthy, just like the Phillies are going to make the playoffs despite Rob Thompson this year. Niners still have to pay Bosa. Trading of Trey Lance has a lot of repercussions for the 49ers for sure. But what if Brock Purdy? I put out a poll on Twitter. Who's the greatest one-hit wonder of all time? Brock Purdy or the Wonders? And if you don't know who the Wonders are, they're spelled O-Neaters. There's my movie quote of the day. What if Brock Purdy's just a one-hit wonder? I mean, we give Trey Lance 4 games. You give Brock Purdy 3, and they're ready to anoint him the next Joe Montana or Tom Brady in San Fran. I don't know. I think the 49ers organization as a whole might be a little overrated. The way they're such a great culture and Shanahan and Lynch are just such a great pair. I don't know. They moved him to a team that they beat like a drum. Jerry is special. Look, I don't understand, first off, why Dallas would waste a 4th-round pick on him. It's not like you could play him. If Dak Prescott gets hurt, can you just throw Trey Lance, who's not been there for camp or anything else, right to the Wolves? You probably can't. So I don't get what's going on between either team. in that situation. What screwed up is Fat Mike wasn't even told about the trade, and San Fran is better than Dallas. San Fran might be better than Dallas. I'm saying everyone's just assuming that San Fran's the second best team. I've said Dallas on paper is a very strong team. If they're on the same page, if they can avoid controversies and all the distractions that come with being on the Dallas Cowboys, that's the problem. Well, I'm sorry, I told you, just make him watch with you. That would help. He allowed Zeke to play center for a play. That's why he's a bad coach. Didn't he get like crushed Tony on that play? Like didn't Zeke like just bomb on that? Mike McCarthy, I think, is an overrated coach. I really do, without a shadow of a doubt. I hate watch 49ers. Yeah, 49ers are rough. I can't. I got to lean in for this. Valorian. Ha ha ha. One hit wonder. I see what you did there. Reddick, made sure of that. Look, one hit wonder. Um, the Wonders. That thing you do. Um, them or we could throw Chubba Wumba in there or what was that other band in the late '90s? I forget. They were a huge one hit wonder. Look, there's lots of one hit wonders. What if Brock Purdy's a one hit wonder? They're going to be turning over the keys to what? Sam Darnold? Or yeah, Sam Darnold's their backup quarterback. We know he ain't the thing. I just think the San Francisco 49ers get all this grace of being this great organization, yet what are they? They're a train wreck right now. Shanahan is a great coach, but Lynch has been a disaster trying to pick quarterbacks, because he feels like there's a system in place and you can just plug and play anybody. Like Brock Purdy, I wasn't ready to anoint him last year. He had a great defense. You pick up Christian McCaffrey. It's hard not to be good in that situation, right? But Shanahan, for all these players he's got, you think about it. They made it to the championship game last year. That is best run. I guess he was there for the Super Bowl, but that was years ago. I don't know. The 49ers are a really good team. They just haven't been able to get over the hump. And I think the 49ers also made a mistake in paying Javon Hargrave all that money as well. Cox, Graham, and Carr, some of the best offensive linemen. We got such an offensive line. Jameson Crowder. Is he still in the NFL? Mike McCarthy is the GOAT as per James Jones. Well, James Jones also the one that had something to say about the Eagles recently. So not gonna vouch for that one right there. Phil has Fountains of Wayne on cassette. I don't own any cassettes anymore. I wish I did. I don't know, something about putting your cassette in, trying to line up for the right song, or burning music right off the radio onto a cassette. Man, you're talking about my childhood right there. Talking about growing up here. How can you not get excited about having hit the rewind button to hear the same song over and over again? Something about a cassette, man. I miss it. I'm an old school guy. They're a great team with quarterback problems, which means they will not do anything again this year. 49ers. Again, this whole situation, the Cowboys, the 49ers, Trey Lance, Dak Prescott, throw Jalen Hurts' name in there. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how to feel about it, but it's so great to know that Jalen Hurts is our guy and that we don't have this drama. And it doesn't matter who's brought in to be the backup quarterback. Jalen Hurts is so secure with himself and so laser focused on football that we don't got to worry about it. How do I feel about the defensive back room? I think the defensive back room is pretty much set. Um, I think there's a battle between Kayvon Wallace being the fourth safety and Justin Evans. I think it should be Kayvon Wallace. I think they're going to give it to the last second. One more practice today to decide who's that fourth safety. And on the cornerbacks, obviously Slay, Bradbury, Maddox, Ringo, Joby. Those five are locked, and they're either going to keep both Goodrich and Ricks or one or the other. There's three guys: Goodrich, Ricks, and the fourth safety spot. They're fighting for a spot, but it's crazy. Like I would have said 3, 4, 5 weeks ago, we need another safety because Sidney Brown's played, Justin Evans, Kayvon Wallace, Ricks, all these guys how they played. You losing Zach McPherson, you think I'd want another cornerback, but I'm pretty confident in our defensive backs right now. I think to start the season, we can roll with what we got. And as long as Slay and Bradbury don't get hurt, which we talk about their age, but they're very healthy guys. They haven't missed long exterior. Bleh. They haven't missed long spots of time in seasons ever in their careers. So I'm pretty confident in that team. I'd be just worried about who's going to be the slot corner when something happens to Maddox because that's the guy that gets hurt mostly. Lynch played defense in the NFL. He's great at building a defense. Yeah, well, then become a defensive coordinator. I mean, I'm not disappointed that the 49ers are making mistakes. I would never be upset about that. Dallas should be our biggest threat this year in the NFC. I agree. Not just in the NFC East, in the NFC. The problem is with that theory, though, is that if they're a train wreck of an organization and they're not salting Dak Prescott. Did you hear Dak Prescott talking? No, I don't. About the trade. He was not happy. He just didn't see it coming. There's something brewing. Dak Prescott might be a guy you see get traded at the end of this upcoming season. Won't even go into the last year of his deal. Hargrave is good, but I wouldn't have signed him if it meant messing up Nick Bosa's money. Yeah, and a guy at his age, to $90 million. Yeah, it was an overpay. It was overkill for any team to give him that. I'm glad we moved on from him. Does the not telling the coach about a quarterback trade means the coach is gone? Yeah, I mean, um, I really think they tried to get Sean Payton in there. Since that didn't work, they kept him till they find out who's the next best option. Look, McCarthy is not the guy in Dallas. I hope he's the guy for as long as possible. Excuse me. Suffering more at the end of the summer than the beginning of the summer with allergies, man. It's insane. Um, Look, McCarthy, look, as long as Jerry Jones is in charge of making the final decisions in Dallas, Dallas is not going to win another Super Bowl. It's just not going to happen. What is up, Eric? How you doing this morning, man? Talking Eagles right now. If you want to talk Phillies or anything else, the docket is open. Whatever you want to talk about. We are sticking to the Philadelphia Eagles and football in general right now. But Phillies are a red hot baseball team. So if anybody's got Philly conversation, if anybody wants to talk about Aaron Nola, and if you can be confident in Aaron Nola after his last two starts, I'd love to hear your opinions on that. Um, Imagine having the mental fortitude after fumbling the ball for a touchdown and then leading the offense to a touchdown drive on the biggest stage. Dak Prescott wouldn't do that. Carson Wentz wouldn't do that. Marcus Mariota probably couldn't do that. It's crazy. Jalen Hurts has so much talent on the field and up here in his head and in his heart. We always talk about my man. Where is he? Right there. There. Sugar Shane Falco. What do they say in the replacements? We need heart. And that's what Falco has. That's what Jalen Hurts has. Heart, determination, everything. He's the perfect. Honestly, is there a more perfect package for a quarterback than what Jalen Hurts has? I mean, I guess a better package would be if Jalen Hurts was maybe like 2 or 3 inches taller, but that's about it. Because he throws a better pass than people realize. He throws the football deep better than people realize. He does it all, and he's getting better still. He just to think about this about Jalen Hurts, because we talk about all these quarterbacks and all this drama across the NFL. There's so many teams with drama in the NFL right now. Very few have set organizations. The Chiefs being one of them, and the Eagles. But like Jalen Hurts, there's no drama here right now. You know who else is healthy? All the guys' thumbs who are watching this amazing show. That's right. We had 21 to 25 people watching at a time in the last 20 minutes. Got 15 likes. Got a thumbs up. It's free to like this video. Free to click the share and free to click the subscribe. Niners need Hargrave other than keeping him away from the Eagles. I think that I honestly, Marshawn, I think the Eagles or the 49ers, you see that all the time. Team gets knocked out in the playoffs. They go out and they rob from the team that beat them. Or they go out and make decisions based off of who they lost to instead of the big picture. You see that all the time. Eric, facts. I know you spelled it wrong, but I got you. Is Aaron Nola the most frustrating Philly athlete of the last decade? No. Carson Wentz is the most frustrating athlete, probably. Maybe Joel Embiid. Aaron Nola is the most frustrating Philly. I mean, Aaron Nola is a fit. Like, compare Aaron Nola to Jalen Hurts for a second. Aaron Nola has as much talent. Aaron Nola has the mental fortitude. He gives up a big home run. It don't phase him. Aaron Nola is everything Jalen Hurts is, except for he comes up small a half a dozen times a year. He's a big home runs and bad months. Like, he's just pitched 2 great outings, Aaron Nola, Anthony. And he still does not give me a confident feeling going into the playoffs. I need to see more. Phil, blowing the people's nose. Yeah, dude, sorry. Man, I tried muting the mic. I hope it I hope it muted. I'm working on a new board here today. So I hope it muted properly. What about Otani coming into town tonight? Going to be crazy. Adam, yes, he is. But he was originally scheduled to pitch tonight. Just think about that, guys. Showtime Otani was going to get 700 plus $1 million. Now he's got to go for Tommy John surgery again. But he's still hitting, and he's still hitting home runs. Like the park's going to be packed for him. It's not quite like when Messi came to Philly to play against the Philadelphia Union a few weeks ago. But Otani's big time, and he's going to be in South Philly this week. Big series against the Angels. Angels are falling. Mike Trout, I think, is back. But there's going to be a lot of people. There's going to be a lot of Otani shirts at the park tonight, and he's just going to be hitting. How much money did Showtime Otani cost himself by hurting his shoulder again? Because all he could do is DH next year. No pitch until 2025 at least. It's going to be interesting. I'd rather hear Phil blow his nose for 5 minutes than talk baseball. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Here we go. Funny stuff. Jokes rolling in on a Monday morning. Another Manny has come to the NFL. Cooper Manning's son, Archie, is a top ranked. I saw something about that, mister. I did. Cooper couldn't play. So his son, Cooper's son, is already better than Cooper ever was in sports. Is there a more famous, third son than Cooper Manning? I mean, could you imagine growing up and just being a regular Joe Schmo, but your brothers are Eli and Peyton Manning, even in high school and college, and you're just the wonder boy. It's gotta suck to be Cooper, but also great because I'm sure he can live off of them for sure. I'm cool with football. Speaking of fantasy football, it's the laughing stock of the draft. Use my first 3 picks on Hurts, AJ, and Smith. Eric, that is not the laughing stock. Now, if you used your first round pick, and that's the thing. I want to talk fantasy football. If you've ever got fantasy football questions for a season long or DFS or anything, just put them here. Any show, anytime. Love answering fantasy football and gambling questions. Don't know how your draft shook out, what pick you were in, Eric. But let me tell you something. If you came out of your first 3 rounds with those 3 guys, that is fantastic. Now, you better have a great option for the bye week at wide receiver. But I in some of my best ball drafts, I haven't done any season-long drafts, but best ball drafts, I've targeted A.J. Brown in the first round and Hurts in the second round on the wraparound. And I think pairing Hurts and A.J., and if you can get all 3, is fantastic. Now, I would not focus on any of the running backs early in the draft for the Eagles because I just don't know how the distribution's going to go. But those 3 guys, if you get any 2 of those guys on your fantasy team, you're winning a lot of games. They're going to score a lot. Nope, Ben Simmons, hands down, most frustrating Philadelphia athlete. Ding, ding. We might have a winner here. I don't know which sounds are what here on this soundboard here. There's got to be a sound effect for it, but I don't know. No, I think it's a great strategy for Eric. I have no problem with targeting those Eagles. As long as it was like, if he was like the 8th pick in a 12-team draft, and he went Hurts, A.J. Brown, great. I think it should be A.J. Brown Hurts. I think you risk losing A.J. Brown on the wraparound depending on how the first picks went, depending on what wide receivers went early. Isn't it crazy in fantasy football that the strategy in fantasy football for ages was running back, running back, running back. You draft running back first, second, maybe even third round. Now, especially in PPR leagues, Justin Jefferson's going 1. Jamar Chase is going 2. Sometimes you're not seeing a wide receiver, a running back go to a 3rd or 4th pick in some drafts right now. It's crazy how it's changed in the NFL. No one is more frustrating than the duo of Morey and Harden. Right now, the most frustrating duo in Philadelphia for sure. Maybe I'll do a little poll. I love my polls. I love polls. Maybe I'll do a who's the most frustrating Philly athlete of the last 20 years. We'll put Harden in there, Ben Simmons, Aaron Nola, Carson Wentz. I think that'll go. Brian Dabo. I'm a Brian Dabo fan, Matt Chatter. Don't know if you've heard me say it before, but I am. Always have been. Always will be. It breaks my heart that he's in Dallas or the New York. I wanted him. He was my first choice over before Nick Sirianni was hired to be the Eagles head coach. The one thing that I would love with Jalen is if there was a better ball handler. Like if he could better ball fake, he would be even more lethal. Tyrone, you've given me something to look for. I'll have to go back and look at some of his play action plays and some of his things. I'm not sure. I never taken notice whether he's good or not at it. I think teams bite on the RPO because he is so effective. I don't know if his actual ball fake skills are very good or not. So I have to look into that. That's interesting, Tyrone. You gave me something to look at. Dak is not happening with a contract extension. He's going to go somewhere. Um, Eric is a member of the Core 12. That is right. Um, Thank you, K1. I got Kittle, the Giants, and Steelers wide receiver 1, 2. It's pretty solid, man. Kittle, it depends on where you got him. He's also. Um, but yeah, I think you're pretty set there on your team. Who are your running backs, Eric? Let me know who your running backs are as well. I'd like to know. He may never pitch again. Otani, yeah, I mean, there's a chance. Are you still taking a chance on him? Are you still going to give him $500 million to DH? It's kind of crazy. Like Otani may have cost himself several $100 million. He's still going to make several $100 million, but he might. If I'm Otani, Anthony, that's something that popped into my head yesterday. If you're Otani, would you consider taking a 1-year deal somewhere just to DH to rehab and then re-hit the open market again, or a 2-year deal, then re-hit the open market after people see you pitch again? Like you might be able to get more money that way. I don't know. It's interesting. Might cost yourself some money, but I don't know. Dang, Eric, that's a hell of a haul. I think Eric has a very good TMC for life. That's right. Cooper was the best, most athletic Manning. Actually, he had narrowing of the spine and a stop play. See, I learned something new about a Manning brother every day. I guess I did not know that. That's right. Too sweet. I was picking third. I grabbed Miles Sanders as running back. Miles Sanders is a great running back to have in fantasy football. Stays relatively healthy. In a team like the Panthers, where they're going to have a young rookie quarterback at the helm, they're going to run the football a lot. Frank Reich knows who Miles Sanders is. They're going to run the football a lot. He's going to have the opportunity. We'll see if he capitalizes on said opportunity. All right, quick reset. We're at the 9 o'clock mark here. It is 9 a.m. here on Monday, August 28th here, trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. Likes and shares and subscriptions are free. Hit those buttons no matter where you're watching. If you're watching on Twitter, I know a couple hundred people do a day. Head over to the YouTube or Facebook page if you want to have your comments heard. At some point in the next week or two, we're just going to do away with shows on Twitter. We're just going to put them only on YouTube and Facebook anyway. So if you're watching on Twitter, head over to YouTube or Facebook, Philadelphia Sports Network. Interact with the show. It's where your opinions matter. Likes are free. Hitting those buttons are free. It was 30 years ago today. The Cowboys knew how to play. A long time ago when the Cowboys were good. Refs were calling a lot of holding calls on O-line this preseason. If that continues into the season, I expect more sacks, interceptions, and less scoring. It's interesting. I don't know what the numbers are on that, but it's possible. We still have the best offensive line in football, though, Mista. So I think that helps. I'm an auction draft guy. We talked about this last week. I've only done it once, and I didn't know what I was. Well, I knew what I was doing, but I never had a strategy down. So I got turned off the one time. Maybe I should do it more frequently. Maybe I'll find like a free league to get into and try it out this year. Phillies, they said they're going to go 7-2 during this 9-game homestand. Giant sweeps. They are 5-1 so far with Nola back-to-back strong outing. Pats are live. They are on pace for 90 wins. I think, Mark, they're on pace for 92 right now. Whatever it may be, the Phillies are a scary team right now. You got guys on the plate at the plate coming alive. Everybody's slumps are just about over. You got a little over a month to go, and playoff. It's just I'm still concerned about the pitching. Can Aaron Nola be good Nola or not? Is Craig Kimbrell going to continue to save him? Having Jose Alvarado back is great. We can get Dominguez in a better position mentally to save Kimbrell a little bit down the stretch. Look, there's a chance that we don't have to wait till the last weekend of the year to lock up a wild card spot. You could rest some of these guys or eat some of their innings. It'll be very interesting to see how it plays out down the stretch here. I haven't played fantasy football since '03. I think Ricky Williams might have been the number one pick. Man, long time ago, Mark. You got to get in. Got to get into a league. I had the 3 picks. Jefferson and J-Mac went before. So I don't know if I would have been taking Jalen Hurts that earlier. Might have gone Christian McCaffrey or Mac went before you. Never mind. I don't know. Jalen Hurts at 3 is very early. And if you got AJ Brown all the way around with your second round, I think that's a win for you. But because I think a lot of teams then passed over him and shouldn't have, especially knowing you drafted Jalen Hurts so soon. Somebody should have drafted AJ Brown ahead of you, for sure. Once I did my first auction, I couldn't go back to snake auction Um, yeah, I mean, I like the best balls. I'm doing a lot of best balls this year. I'm only doing one fantasy football league, and it's the Philadelphia Sports Network League. I'm in a DraftKings. I'm a DFS guy. I like to build a lineup every week and just pick my lineup every week. PJ Walker's greater than Mario. PJ Walker's available. I think he's a Philly product too. What happened with Otani? Tommy John surgery again. Tore his UCL or ULC or whatever it is. Again, second time in his career. That's not good for him. Otani was a great fantasy football draft. Yeah. Imagine how with a 90 million chess move signing, the city would be divided. Yeah. I mean, the city's divided on Howie. Howie can't do any wrong right now, but for the most part, he's a guy that can't do any wrong. Sanders doesn't score very much, unfortunately. Miles Sanders had 11 touchdowns last year rushing the football. Let's not forget that. The year before he had 0, but last year he had 11. So it's 5.5 average over the last 2 years. So if he gets 6 scores, that's the and if he Miles Sanders is going to rush for over 1,000 yards, and Miles Sanders is going to have 5 to 10 touchdowns this year with the Carolina Panthers. Mark my words. He'll be an extremely undervalued fantasy football running back this year to start the year. Goff is my backup quarterback. That's a good backup quarterback to have. Sanders, Jay Williams from the Broncos, my other running back, and Juice from the Commanders. It's a solid team. Like I said, most weeks, the only thing is having both Smith and Brown, you've got to start both of them one week or the other. And they both don't always go for 100 yards. That's the only concern there. But you can't go wrong. You're going to win a lot more than you're going to lose with that core there. Cooper Manning played wide receiver and had a full ride scholarship. I did not know that. I guess he was a better athlete than I thought. How long does it take to hit thumbs up? A minute? No, a second, a half a second, a thousandth of a second. Hit that like button. That's right. I appreciate that, man. Chatter. I grabbed KC's kicker and the Saints defense late. You always go with defensive kicker in the last 2 picks of your draft. That's my opinion. You don't worry about it. You stream as long as you don't have to pay for ads and drops in your league. I just grab the last kicker and last defense and last kicker, and then I add and drop every single week for the best matchups. That's all I do. Unless you're in a league where you've got to pay for those ad drops, then you might change that strategy a little bit. But with the O line holding comment, how many teams played? They're starting to. Tyrone, always a man of reason. A lot of backups played. I mean, did any of our did Kelsey or Lane play a single snap in the preseason? I don't think they did. Um, I unclick the thumbs up every time Phil talks about baseball. And you know what? I'm kicking you out of the core 12. That's all I'm going to say about that, K1. You don't like me, I don't like you anymore. Um, okay. I like Williams and Robinson pickups. Yeah, you'll be fine. I think Eric. I don't know what app you were doing it on, but some of them will tell you. I think ESPN and Yahoo will tell you where you're ranked going into the season. But that team, depending on what the rest of the teams look like, I think unless it was an 8-man league or something like that, 8-team league. I think you're sitting pretty solidly there. I think you could do much worse. This is my 3rd season doing fantasy football. Well, we'll learn together. Whenever you got questions, if somebody gets injured and you want to know who to pick up, bring it to the show. If you got any pre-draft questions when you do a lot of people are doing their drafts this weekend and next weekend. You got draft questions, hit me up. I'll answer them. No, for the right price, I'll draft with you the team. I'll help you with your draft. Otani went from a $500 million to no. He went from a $700 million player. I'm thinking, Mark, does he take a 1 or 2 year deal just to rehab and then re-hit open market? Once he's healthy again. I don't know. Not that he'll ever be healthy. There's a chance he might never be healthy. Postseason, I missed the draft, picked up LeGarrette Blount from waiver wire like week 6 and won my league. Isn't that the best? I love when I picked up Peyton Hillis late and he went off for that rookie, that big season. Arian Foster was a big pickup for me once. I hear you, Phil. The room was hard to read. They are so random. I hate when I'm in a room where, like, a fantasy football room where you just don't know what they're going to do. That's why I try not to try to play as much. You get in some leagues with people that don't know what they're doing. You got Aaron Rodgers going in the first round, or somebody that just likes a player or team, so they just scoop them all up. Totally out of order. It's really hard to read those kind of rooms. I played fantasy football before the advent of the internet and rely on daily. Dude, me and my brother played fantasy baseball back in the late '80s. We had notebooks and we'd keep our own stats and stuff like that. For sure, for sure. I plan on playing Smith as my wide receiver, your flex spot. That's you got Devontae Smith in your flex. You're winning a lot of games this year. Shane Steichen is familiar with the Eagles roster. Give him a player and a draft pick for. Oh, somebody got to bring it. I don't want to talk about Jonathan Taylor to the Eagles, but I will say this: Why hasn't he been traded yet? The Colts cut Kenyon Drake, who was one of their fringe roster guys. If they were trading Jonathan Taylor, Kenyon Drake would have stuck around probably. It's kind of crazy that Jonathan Taylor has not been traded yet. It really is. Really, really crazy. Something to think about. Otani value is in his versatility. Now he's just one dimensional. But that one dimension mark is that he's still an MVP hitter. So he's still the best hitter in baseball. The best hitter in baseball. Who's hitting the free agent market. He's just not also the best pitcher in baseball anymore. 10-team league. I'll definitely be picking your brain, Phil, in chat. Yeah, DM me on Twitter, man. If you want anything either. Also, I can answer questions. You can send me a picture of the of who's available in your team, and I can tell you who maybe to pick up before the season starts. Um, no problem helping you out. I love helping people out with fantasy football. That Josh Jacobs deal gives Taylor leverage. Yeah, the Josh Jacobs deal. I kind of forgot, honestly, K1. Totally forgot about the Josh Jacobs situation in Las Vegas. Totally forgot about it. So it's interesting. And, I can't believe Saquon settled so quickly. Josh Jacobs waited, was patient, got a really solid deal. I think he got what, $2 extra million tacked on there, something like $12 million now, or 12.5 million. Um, it's good for him. Good for him for sure. Many Colts fans say he stay. I just don't know how you stay now. I don't. Like you say, Ursay says he doesn't want you. You say you want out. Everybody says a trade's available. Why Miami? Miami's probably like, why would we trade much for him? Like there's no leverage there for him to say. Like if Jonathan Taylor doesn't get traded, does Jonathan Taylor suit up week 1? I don't think he's suited up in camp at all. I don't know. I think this Jonathan Taylor situation is kind of interesting that he has not to the Eagles, just in general that he hasn't been traded. Did you see Drake play last week? He wasn't the reason. Um, yeah, well, Kenyon Drake is just a veteran guy. He's been around. There was a point when he was with the Cardinals, was it? That he was a fantasy football darling for a little while. I don't know. I wasn't paying super close attention to Kenyon Drake. It's just a name, a veteran name that's got experience. And if you got a young quarterback like they do, you need those veteran names around them to help them out. Jacob Steele's huge for running backs in general, to get that $12 million. So that's a lot for a running back. What's the batting order with Otani on the Phillies roster? Well, I don't know if the Phillies go out and get Otani if he can't pitch. That's the appeal there. But I guess he can learn to play first base. Harper next year will go back to left or right field probably. Schwarber could DH every game. I don't know, but I would love Otani in the middle of our order. Who wouldn't love Otani in the middle? Hell, knowing the analytics of Rob Thompson, who I don't think will be the manager here next year, and I can explain that. Otani, man, knowing the way Rob Thompson writes lineups, he'd probably have Otani batting leadoff. And we'd complain about that too. We'd find a way to complain about that too, right? Yeah, exactly. Jacobs gave in. I don't know about that. Jacobs got a couple $1 million. What did Saquon get? Like 500 grand extra? What the Jacob deal does is take us out of the JT market. Yeah, because we're never going to pay JT the money that Jacobs got, for sure, without a shadow of a doubt. And that's also probably why the trade hasn't had. Like maybe a trade was almost there, and the Dolphins are like, well, shit, now that's what I got to pay JT. Oh no, now we'll only give you a 5th-round pick instead of a 4th-round pick. It's funny though. Like we're debating a 3rd or a 4th or a 5th-round pick for JT. Yet Trey Lance, who's played 4 games in San Francisco, got traded for a 4th-round pick. Just think about that for a second. Again, quarterbacks totally different than running backs. But a quarterback that's proven as little as he has in Trey Lance goes for a 4th-rounder. And the Colts can't get a 4th-rounder for Jonathan Taylor. It's kind of interesting to see how that's all playing out there. Henry is greater. Dark Henry is greater. Yeah, I mean, Dark Henry's got right now, today, maybe. But big picture over the next 3 years, I don't know if I agree with that, man, Chatter. That Dark Henry's got a lot of mileage. A lot of mileage on those legs. He's bound at some point to have a major fall off. Major fall off. No, the answer is the Trey Lance thing to Jonathan Taylor. It's Jerry Jones. Well, look, Jerry Jones. Part of me always says like I can't like the Cowboys need to move on from Jerry Jones as the decision maker. They won't, but they should. But me as an Eagles fan says, I hope Jerry Jones continues making decisions for the next 20 years. As long as he's the one making the decisions for the Cowboys, they're never going to relive or get back to their old glory. He just doesn't know. He's constantly being reactive, um, and not proactive, and that's a problem. You're never going to be successful as a franchise, by being reactive to everything that's happening in the league. And Jerry Jones does that. Jerry Jones says X, I want to give you this extension. You say no, and he gets all pissy and I don't know how to negotiate. He's so stubborn. And for as a Cowboys hater, I'm so happy for it. But on the flip side, as a regular trying to be not biased analyst, the best move for the Cowboys would be Jerry Jones not making decisions. Problem is, probably the person that takes over making decisions is his son, who's just going to be just as bad. Um, Henry looked washed last season. Late for sure, he did. I would not want Derrick Henry on my fantasy football team. Now, if he falls and it's like the 10th pick and he's there, yeah, I might consider it. But Derrick Henry went from being like the third or fourth best player in fantasy football to a guy that you just can't trust anymore. Henry only running back in his prime you pay. I don't think you even pay Derrick Henry much or long years anymore. Henry's not breaking off those 40 yarders anymore. No. Still going to score touchdowns. He's still going to rush for over 1,200 yards or something like that. But the days of 1,800 yards or 1,500 yards are just behind them. Good teams, Eagles, Bills, Chiefs, whoever on roster play their. You can't play the Eagles running backs, man, Chatter. Not early in the season in fantasy. You want to get Swift or Gainwell later than their ADP, ADP being their average draft placement. Sure, but you can't draft them high because you just don't know if Swift or Gainwell's getting those touches. I actually targeted them in best ball because in best ball you only count the points of the players that you have the highest score. So the weeks Swift doesn't score, he'll just get benched. The weeks he does score, it's interesting like that. Coach GM struggling this past few years with trades. He should have took the second round pick. Look, Colts are a tough organization right now. They've messed up a lot, but they got Shane Steichen there. I don't know if Shane Steichen's going to be a good head coach or not. He was a very good offense coordinator, very good developing quarterbacks. He's a great person for the Colts to have right now with a young quarterback to help develop him. I don't know if he's going to be a great coach, but they've made a lot of mistakes, and Jim Irsay's a part of that. He doesn't make the final decisions as much as Jerry Jones does. But man, Jim Irsay opens his mouth and says some dumbass stuff, plain and simple. Jerry Jones, good businessman. He is a good businessman. He's a bad general manager, not a great owner, and Jim Irsay is dumb. And he's like a cokehead or something, isn't he? Not fantasy, real life. What is fantasy, real life? Play the running backs. Okay, I got you on that other one there. Is there a difference? I don't know. There's not. Henry probably has hot Zeke wall. Yeah, I could see the Zeke fall off for Henry this year or next year. Having a meth head in charge may not be meth, not coke. My bad. Sorry. Wrong drug of choice right there. Look, it is what it is. Again, all this comes back to the Philadelphia Eagles. How great it is that we don't have this drama. We've had it in the past, but the one constant, all the times when we've had drama in Philadelphia, the one constant was always Jeffrey Lurie saying, yo, 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 you're out or this or that or whatever. Keeping the organization from having a free fall that is unrecoverable from. Just think about it. The Doug Peterson, Carson Wentz thing, we recovered from that in one season. The Chip Kelly problem, recovered from that one season. Andy Reid, recovered from it when we moved on from him. So Jeffrey Lurie is a way of keeping this organization in line, in check. I think it's really interesting. I think it's really great. All right, we're about to hit the final 10 minutes of this show. Keep those comments coming. I might talk baseball for a second. If there's no comments coming in, I might talk baseball. You better be careful there. But the Phillies, man, they're turning heads. Eagles, final roster spots. Do we see many roster spots change today? There will be a practice today. The one thing you got to look for with these rosters and these roster cut downs is not just if they're cut or not. It's who shows up to practice or not. There are a bunch of guys that didn't show up to practice that were probably told they're going to be cut, but how he maybe is trying to work out a trade instead. Like Trey Sermon wasn't at practice yesterday, so he's probably getting cut. Neither was Kennedy Brooks, probably getting cut. But maybe how he's like, all right, Trey, you're not gonna make this team. We're gonna try to trade you, but if not, you're gonna get cut. How doesn't the league step in with Ursay? I mean, the leagues, all the sports leagues, have stepped in with so many owners, but yet they don't with Ursay. I don't get it. No, we're not talking line on Messi. Although I was on my man, I didn't talk any soccer when Messi came to town. This is a Philadelphia sports topic in general. And K1, I want to ask this, and we didn't get into this on the show. This might end up being the final topic of the day at this point, and we might pick it up tomorrow. All the love at Subaru Park when Messi came to town to play the Union with Miami or whatever they're called. He scores a goal. His team crushes the Union, but the fans are cheering him. Like I don't get it. Like it would be like when Otani comes to Philly tonight to play the Phillies, and everybody's in Otani jersey. Everybody was in Messi kilts or kits or whatever they're called. I don't know the soccer lingo. Doesn't it upset anybody that there was so much Philly love? I know Messi is one of the greatest of all time, one of the greatest athletes of all time. But you wouldn't see Joe Montana or Michael Jordan coming to Philly, at the end of their career, and everybody in the stadium standing up and cheering for them when they hit a home run or score a game-winning basket or throw a touchdown. Like Tom Brady, we weren't cheering Tom Brady. Like I was so not I shouldn't say so upset, disappointed that so much love was showed towards Messi in Philly. When he was you want to give him a cheer when he steps onto the court or the field, the pitch, that's the word, the pitch to start the game, sure, give him a standing up. After the game, you want to give a Messi chant in the standing up, fine. But in between the clocks, I'm not cheering him scoring a goal against my team. I'm just not. It frustrated me so much that so much love was shown about him. Baseball does not stink. And just wait, man, chatter. When October gets here and baseball playoffs start and the Phillies are in the playoffs, we'll be talking a lot more baseball than you realize on this show. Because they're sophisticated fans. I don't really care. No, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I did not like it. Indy is a basketball town. I listened to the radio station. They talked more about college basketball than the Carson Wentz trade. That's pathetic. I would hate to live in a town that's not a huge football town. I'm hoping for a safety trade. I don't understand why we played Brown so long in the fourth, thinking we'll be starting with. No, I think Edmonds is starting at this point. Yeah, soccer is different. It is. I just don't appreciate like you wouldn't see it in any other Philadelphia sport. And I know Messi isn't like any other athlete. But man, K1 saying soccer is greater than movie talk, which is greater than hockey talk, which is greater than cats talk, which is greater than baseball talk. Wow, that's putting a lot ahead of baseball. A lot ahead of baseball. He was never vilified here. Who, Messi? Like, I just don't get it. Like, me, Messi scores a goal against the Union. If I was at that game, I probably could have gone. I have friends that went. I'm not cheering him. I'm not. I don't get it. Like, I'm trying to think of a situation or an athlete in another sport that would get that same type of reaction. And I don't think you'd name any football player like that. Now, again, hey, you can bring up the Chase Utley situation with the Phillies when he came back with the Dodgers. Came back to Philly with the Dodgers. Vince Velasquez was the pitcher on the mound, and he got cheered, standing ovation when his first at bat came. That's fine. And then when Vince Velasquez struck him out, Vince Velasquez got booed by the Philadelphia fans. And I thought that was terrible. It was stupid. It was awful. It's not about soccer. This is something I would figure you'd be into, Mark. The fact that Philly fans cheer the opponent when they scored against us because his name was Messi. To me, that's a no-no. I respect the GOAT. I think what Messi's doing coming and playing MLS is great for the sport, except for the fact it's on Apple TV and I can't watch it. But you do not cheer for the opponent during the game action. To me, that's wrong. The Dream Team was adored in '92 when they went to the Olympics. That's different. That's different than this Messi situation. The sport itself, I'd rather go to baseball and eat hot dogs. Yeah. Hell, fans in China go crazy for Dwight Howard. They just want to start. Look, you got Harden over there going crazy. You see Harden? The Saudis are trying to. They start their own golf league. Now there's rumors that they're going to start their own basketball league, and the rumor is the Saudis offered James Harden $900 million to be the face of their new basketball league. Oh my God! Was it an exhibition game? I don't think so. It was It was like a tournament. It was like because soccer, basketball's trying to adopt the soccer way of in season tournaments. It was some kind of an in season tournament. So there was a tournament at stake. So it wasn't an exhibition game. It was a tournament game. Doesn't count towards the regular season record, but it was still a tournament. So they were still trying to win a trophy. But again, that just goes to show, basketball trying their in season tournament, it just ain't going to work out. That crowd is a little different. I mentioned the ridiculous rules to sit with Sons of Ben. Oh, I agree. And that's again with the way the Sons of Ben and how passionate they are down there at Subaru Park. I've been to Union games. I'm not a big soccer guy, but I've been to Union games. It's an insane experience. And the fact that they allowed cheering on Messi, it's just not happening. The problem I think was that so many non-union fans went to that game because tickets were on for people were paying $3, $4, $500 to go see that game. And I think that's probably what part of it was. You had a lot of non-union fans that were just soccer fans that wanted to go see the legend. Man, no cheering of an opponent during the game. It's just me. I don't know. Like when if Nick Foles came back to Philly when he first did, like I wouldn't have cheered for him. When like I said, Chase Utley with that situation, I wasn't cheering him. I wasn't booing the Phillies for striking him out. Mark, I'm sure you remember that situation. Messi, a world-renowned athlete, over the needle guard. Yeah, I can't read half of this. You rush your sentences too much. Should people cheering for Messi have been ejected? I would have booed them. If I was liquored up, I would have booed them for sure. I don't get it. I talked about it on a podcast this past week. So, it is what it is. What about Mick Foley? I love Mick Foley. Mankind, my man. If you didn't watch SmackDown, the tributes this weekend for Bray Wyatt, who, rest in peace, passed away last week of a heart attack at the age of 36, were pretty emotional. The opening of SmackDown, I had to watch it. I had to see it. Man, I was a grown-ass man fighting back tears. Just grown-ass man fighting back tears. You can read it, Phil. I can read a lot of what you're saying. It just doesn't make sense sometimes, man, Chatter. Messi, a world-renowned athlete, Walker over the needles, garbage and caked on Gum Street to come play on your city. You can cheer him. That does not make any sense to me whatsoever, man, Chatter. One big long run-on sentence. Anyway, we're gonna start the wrap-up process here, Trend the AM for sure. Marbury. Oh, he's got statues. What was the other? That little white kid shooter. I think he went to BYU. Failed in the NBA. Then went to China and was scoring like 100 points a game. What was his name? I think he went to BYU. He was a little short white dude shooter. What was his name? I'm sure you remember it. What was it? But anyway, Chinese man, they'll hype up those NBA players and make them stars. You know what I mean, right? Can't think of his name. I can't think of his name. Played with Brandon. I remember Brandon Davies, the big man that played on that team at BYU with them, who played for the Sixers during the process. I just can't remember his name. Here's a question: which is better, the Vet Stadium Crazy Crown or the Cowboys Wine and Cheese Crown? Oh, anything Philly is better. I still love the Vet. We were talking about the Jimmer Fredette. There it is, Fredette, man. The guy's a stud in China. Stud. Couldn't play D, but he could shoot. He could shoot. I love the Vet. We were talking about the Vet this weekend. My nephew went to a game, just trying to talk about how great the Vet was and the specialness of being at the Vet. Anyway, we got to wrap up Training the AM right there here on Philadelphia Sports Network. Remember, if you're watching this even on replay, I check all comments, likes, and hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and notification button. It is free to do. You just hit that button. It helps massively grow this show and this platform. I greatly appreciate it. Tomorrow, we'll continue. We'll see if any other cuts happen. You might see one or two more very interesting cuts happen today, and then we'll go from there with this Eagles roster. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more Phillies again. Ohtani is in town. We'll see what else happens. But we're going to wrap up Training the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. At some point this week, I'm trying to get Liam Everybody calls for Liam, the boss man at PSN, to join us to talk Eagles. Top of the morning. You guys have a great day. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you enjoy your Monday. Uh, we're less than 2 weeks till Eagles, man. I'm excited. We are now 13 days till kickoff. I'm excited till we beat those New England Patriots 35-13 on the 10th. I am excited, guys. Super excited. For Philadelphia Sports Network, I am Phil Stiefel. Hit those like buttons, hit those share buttons. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow, guys.